Hey guys, sorry for that. Welcome to the stream. We have our Q&A session here for season 2. Joining me is Tormented by Gnomes and one of our head admins, Optiducks. How are you guys doing today?
I am
Doing
doing
great, Pat.
great.
All right, great. Yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties as we haven't had issues before usually with this, but all of a sudden I think there was an update that's causing issues. So we have Gnome on Google Hangouts and we have Optidox on Skype for the video here. So at least we got everyone on some similar quality. I'll kind of adjust my camera so we're all at that same height level. But anyway, yeah, what we're doing today is we're gonna go over some changes going on with season 2. Yeah, most of you have seen the Reddit post. If not, I'm going to post it right now in the chat just for all of you who are listening so you can get a glimpse at it. And yeah, like I said, please give us a little audio check during this so that we didn't really have time because of what's going on. So let us know the audio quality and if someone's
Hey
louder.
guys, sorry for that.
Oh, there it is right
Welcome
there.
to the stream.
As I'm saying that,
We have our
the
Q&A session here for season 2.
there it
Joining
is
me
right there.
Tormented by Gnomes and one of our head admins, Optiducks. How
Of
you guys
course. There it is. I have an audio issue already because I had the official channel in the background playing. So and of course on the official channel it's not showing that we've started yet. So or at least on
It
my
shows live for me on the
it's
official
not
channel,
live for me. It's still showing the stream starting soon, but
and we look fantastic.
hopefully it's good.
Hmm.
At least yeah,
We are
we
amazing.
are pretty good looking crew we got here. But anyway, I'm gonna get going. We're gonna start first talking about the topics, and as we go along, we'll kind of accept questions during here and there, and especially have a bigger Q&A session overall, and then maybe just have a general topic discussion of season one and what's been going good with season one, what we like, and what we've been hearing from a lot of people. We really want to get the feedback from everyone, especially with what happened in season one, and then going into season two, we have a lot of changes coming on as you've seen, and hopefully we're wishing it's for the best. I mean, usually the first couple of seasons can be a little bit of a trial run, and we had a big turnout for the first season, which is great. We had about 1,300 signups, so 200 teams, and it's really good that we have those numbers for a community that just started off out of the whim. Um, with that, I mean, have you? What do you guys think? Do you guys think this season has been a great success of what it originally was planned to be? I know I wasn't. I signed up literally like 2 days before signups closed, but I know a few of you have been around for the start of like from the Scrub Cup, which followed up into this league. So I want to know what do you guys think about the success of it?
Orthodox, were you involved in the Scrub Cup?
Yes, I was indeed. It was Scrub Cup was a long time ago. Uh, last God, February maybe, March, January or February. But it was it. I think I've seen plenty of familiar faces in this league, not just in the admin team. I mean, Matt's helped with the Scrub Cup way back when. Createx is Scrub Cup. There's a bunch of us, but also just in the people playing. There are definitely teams, especially still in like the lower like goldish divisions, that might come
November,
straight out of Scrub Cup.
November. They're saying in the chat that it started in November.
Oh shoot,
Which
yeah, it's March right now.
yeah, I was
I
gonna say
forgot
I,
that
I was gonna say
Overwatch
Overwatch
has
hasn't
been
even
out.
haven't been out for a year
Yeah,
yet.
That
So
has been like beta.
yeah, yeah. No, I was forgetting how times work. Anyway, yeah,
yeah,
it's pretty cool to see people coming from all the way back then to play in this too.
yeah. Like, I mean, like for me, like just seeing how this community grew from the get go, that it had that many signups, and that there's been an insane amount of interest with people who haven't been in the league, and we've been able to get a lot of fills. And unfortunately, we have had issues with teams dropping during the season. A lot of teams like during the signups they kind of forgot about the season starting, which is unfortunate because we've had teams come back like, oh, I forgot that my team forgot that we signed up, and then they come back and it's already too late for them. But um, it's great that we for the majority of it we've had people have been excited about the league because it's available for all skill levels, and you kind of get that like little step up from comp play. And we really like the approach that the league has been going with that style that it's available to players of all skill levels. Otherwise, like you go into a competitive league and it's like I'll give an example that I've used before is like game battles, for example. It's been like this for years, and especially from my experience with like playing it in Halos, is that you have teams all sign up in this league, and I think Ghost Gamer does it the same way. You have all these teams sign up in the league, but you have to specifically go out and challenge teams. And when you go out and challenge teams, you don't really you don't have a set mindset. Okay, we're playing this day already. It's already set. You kind of have to do more work to do that. But at the same time, if you go into the season late, you kind of see that those teams, all right, those teams already have 50 games played. It's kind of hard for a team to get in that. So if you have everyone starting at that same like level, knowing when the signups are, and having that a set schedule, you get people to play who are competitive and casual. That's why we do this like once a week style, so that we get like those casuals that are maybe interested in going into competitive, but you also get those competitive people that are trying to be in every league possible that they can, so that the team gets experience. Um, but going with this, let's dive into the topics that we've put on the Reddit post. One thing that we want to start off was that signups do begin April 8th. We have looked into signups, try to figure out multiple ways to get teams. In I guess I would say in a correct combination, or like on the same page, because there's a lot of teams that were joined together that weren't able to play and practice often. And while we want teams to practice, we also know that it is casual, and that's an issue that some people sign up because they want it to be super casual. They know the games are played every Saturday. That's something they can maintain weekly. But there's also teams that are like, okay, we've been playing very well, and we want to take it to the next step. Let's try to get practice in. Maybe let's grab a coach. Another aspect of this league that we've had a lot of success with is the coaching system, which we plan to implement more features with that. Now, I mean, I've been talking a lot, but I wanted you guys also to talk in on that the sign up system, and what is going to be changing, and what's going to be new with it.
I'll start if you don't mind. So, last season at the very beginning, one of the biggest opportunities of this league was the fact that you could sign up as a solo and get put on a 6-stack without having to know people right off the bat, etc. This has been a blessing and a curse. On the one side, we've had a lot of teams formed together from nothing, total strangers meeting each other, having a great time, having great chemistry, and really enjoying the league. On the other hand, we've also put people in completely different time zones together because of limited information. The process that we used to put people on teams together didn't account for all of the variables, and it was extremely, extremely work intensive for the admin team. So I think Matt's, for example, our founder, didn't sleep basically for a week. So we are still absolutely a place where you can show up with knowing nobody and find a team. That is still the Overwatch University League. However, we are doing our best to put power into the hands of captains and players to make that happen themselves. So official signups, it's going to work a little bit differently. You can sign up as a solo, a partial team, or a full 6-stack. Then, during the sign-up period, we're going to give people access to the list of free agents and solo signups. That way, partial teams and captains who don't have a team yet will be able to actively recruit from that roster. The roster is going to contain information about what roles they like to play, what days they're available, their time zones, what heroes they're best at, etc. So that the captains will be in a position to take responsibility to make sure the team that they end up with is a team that they will have time to actually scrim with and practice and get better together. We've had a lot of teams say, hey, we're really enjoying this, but we're never free at the same time. We really want to avoid that this season. So the focus will be on helping people form teams themselves. However,
I want to point out with that, like, there's been teams like my team, for example, and like a team that I was on at the start of the season, but right before it start, I got pushed to a higher division. We both were single stack teams, and so we don't want to discourage that. Sign up by yourself. We still want to help people get who don't have people on that they can play with. Like Gnome, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but your whole team is a bunch of friends that you guys known and been playing Overwatch with together pretty much since it gone out. And I think like most of you guys know each other in person, right?
Almost the entire team was at my wedding. I'll
Yeah.
post a picture later.
Yeah, and so my team, and like the team I first started on, we were all single stacks, and we were in both of our teams ended up in second place in our divisions. So I mean, I was able to recruit some of my friends that I've known partial way during the season, or when players left. But one of the things that we do want to encourage single stack signups is that it creates a way so teams can um, build a chemistry before signups as well, so they get that feel, and they know for sure, okay, we want to sign up. And a thing that there was an issue with the single signups is that you'd have people who would sign up and then forget that they signed up. But it's a lot easier for a five stack team to be like, okay, one of our players forgot, let's just replace him with another player. So we still don't want to discourage the single stack signups, because there's a lot of people that join the league on single stacks that they've ended up having success, or they've met friends. I know one of our other admins, Lama, he was telling us that he coaches a team where there was a three stack that signed up, and the other three on the team were single stacks, and now they play together all the time. We're creating that friendship, and we're building this community that all these players can have, like, call it essentially like a home. I came from a previous gaming community that's kind of been dwindling down, and it's been great to be able to find a new place to call home in this Overwatch University League. And having online friends, like I've met online friends, gone to conventions, met up with people, and it's been great experiences overall. And that's something we really want to build. We kind of want to build like a sort of like a family here, and being able to connect with teams. If you don't have people to connect with on Overwatch, I know there's a lot of times for a while when my friends stopped playing Overwatch, I was just playing QP by myself. That's when I met. It was just one week I was playing competitive, and I, met up with people, and then I even got some of those players in the league themselves, because we kind of formed our own group, and so that's another way that we help people build friends here. And with those single signups, we do that. And with the coming up, we want to have it so that the yeah, so as Matt's saying, so I was reading the chat. Matt's saying there was like about a 70-member Discord online that's based around one of the teams, because like the team's been so friendly and playing with a bunch of people like within the league and community, and building the sort of their own little small set of community, which is great and something that we like seeing in this community. But being able to we want to encourage teams to get chemistry together, and then so signing up as a six stack, you have more weeks to do that. If you sign up single, you're gonna have less of a chance to work with your team before the season starts, and that's a big thing there. Like when the season started, there was a lot of people that didn't have time to practice together, and this way we can get teams work together around their availability and also play styles. So you don't have, like, one of my teams that I first started on, there was like 3 or 4 diva mains. So we want to try to alleviate from that, as well as any kind of availability issue that teams might suffer because they can't practice.
Yeah, so
Piggybacking on that, actually, Optodox, you go ahead. You've been quiet.
so keeping that in mind, I guess our goal for the sign-up system is to make it so that y'all exactly what Pimp say. You don't want to have 4 demands. You don't want to have people in 6 hours apart time zones, one way off one end, way off the other. We're trying to make it so that y'all can find the people you need to fill out your team. Keeping that in mind, we really want auto sorting, or like just putting 6 random six random single stack people together. We want that to be the last resort. We really want y'all to be signing up at whatever size group you want. You can sign up as a group of 2, group of 3, but we want you to find the other people to complete your team. We're going to give you all the resources you need. We're going to help you. We're going to have lists of people. We're going to have data mains. We're going to help you find the people you need. But we really want to put the onus on you to make the perfect team, rather than us giving you a less perfect one.
Exactly. This is not to discourage people from going solo. Free agents, come on in. Be welcome. We just want to make sure that captains and teams have the ability to make sure that their randos who they end up bonding with are people who can actually play together. Let's see here. All right. We have several questions in the chat already, and we have more to discuss on the subreddit, on the announcement that we made. What do we want to handle first?
I think it's probably best for us to start off giving general information to avoid repeating questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should probably start out with the subreddit post and move on from there.
All right, Pimp, do you want to take that or do you want me to take it?
Mike was muted. Okay, yeah, I think that we can. I think we should move on a little bit. Just get onto the topics a little bit faster, maybe, and then get a
Yeah.
little more in depth with stuff. Like with some of these descriptions, I guess could have been in questions. But another thing, it's kind of small. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay, so we should be good now. One thing that's a little bit small that it's on next on the list is about placement matches. There was a lot of teams that I remember at Sam's kind of had no placement matches uh, for some of the players, and that's one thing we want to make sure that all teams are having their placement matches set just for the route that we don't want people. We don't want to see any kind of cheesy situation happen. Okay, there's a six stack here, but this one player, they haven't done or there's a six stack, but one out of the five should be in masters level, while the other five are in gold. We don't want to see an issue like that, where like okay, now that they sign up, you can't really place them anywhere. So we want to make sure all the placement matches are done. At least have some sort of data set to work with, which is different than the past, because we've had issues where there's been a gold team having a masters player on it, and that masters player can completely annihilate. Like if you get a masters tracer against a gold comp, that master tracer can do so much work because of just their whole play style that they and their game knowledge, and that's an issue. And which kind of ties on to we've been discussing SR caps, which we still have to implement like a reasonable thing on that. We don't want to have too much difference between teams because of situations like that where a player can carry. So that's something more we'll discuss, and we can I guess ask questions about that later. Divisions. I know. Do you want to take on that the whole change in divisions, Gnome, before we go
Sure.
into?
Let me just pull this up. Okay, so folks, one of the big questions.
Oh, you went
All
mute.
right,
You went mute for a second.
Muted
audio
by
sound okay
nose.
now?
Yeah,
You're
you're
fine
good.
now.
Tweaking with my noise gate, unfamiliar computer. So, one of the questions people, I placed first or second. Am I moving up?
You're cutting in and out.
Cutting out
Just,
and
just
out.
turn your just turn your mouse gateway down. You're
Yeah,
fine. Keyboard noise aren't the worst thing.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
It's a learning experience. Is that better?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
good.
Great. So, divisions. People have been asking, hey, I placed first in my division. Am I moving up to the next division, etc.? And we have decided that we are going to completely reseed all teams for Season 2. And there's a variety of reasons why. First off, we had some teams start out with players who hadn't fully placed, and so they were unrepresentative of the proper SR for their division. Second, we are hoping for a new influx of teams to arrive. If we put all the new teams into the bottom division and made them bubble their way to the top, the bottom division would become an absolute meat grinder. The bronze teams that are down there would have no chance to improve because they'd constantly be put against players of all skill levels trying to move up, and so that it would just be savage. We don't want that. Third, we've decided to move to 8-team divisions instead of 10-team divisions as much as possible, depending on signups and such. One, this gives us a super easy tournament structure for an 8-team bracket. Two, it'll allow us to make the season shorter, because a shorter season is more beneficial because it allows us, one, to host events at the end like playoffs and all-star games, and two, it means it's easier for players to get in on the league. We've had a lot of people who expressed interest in Season 1 who've been locked out for almost 3 months because of the length of the seasons. So for those and other reasons, we are completely reshuffling the divisions based on SR. Now, winning teams, we are working on a solution to commemorate your victory because we don't want you to feel like you did all that work for nothing. I believe our solution is going to tie into the Overwatch University website, which I'm not going to talk about too much, not being on the build team for that. But don't worry, we're not going to forget who placed where. We're going to commemorate it in some fashion. We're just working on a way to make it meaningful so that, again, aside from just all the improvements that you made, since it's the Overwatch University League, you feel that your victory was well earned. Did I miss anything, guys?
Yeah, another thing I want to add to that is that when you have that 7 week season, changing to the lower amount of teams, you're able to get a sense of like after a few weeks, you more or less know who's going to be on top of the division when you have a longer season. Okay, this team's 5-0. They're definitely going to win the division, like something like that. So you have those smaller gaps, but also as we said, it allows for give us time, for other events. But it's also it's more of a chance for a team for a division to lose four of its team six four. I mean, I think we've had a division that lost six of its members in it. So essentially, that division was cut in half because we had such a large division. But the main reason I guess to say was that it does drag the season on a bit longer than it really needs to be. Is one of our bigger reasons for that. So that's a bit why we're changing the division size. So I guess another thing that kind of ties into divisions that we're going to try to keep them, too strict to that 7 week season. So I know there's a Division Three in Europe League, for example, has an 11-week season, which is extremely long, only because they have that many signups, and we're going to try to limit those divisions so that we can get more out of them, and also the divisions, having smaller division sets allows us to expand the pool size of the SR ranges. So there could be like some teams that are stuck in this division because they weren't able to drop down or drop up. So there's sometimes where we've seen like a hard gap in SR, and this will alleviate that differential.
Which should make matches more fair overall, which is going to be a better learning experience, which again, that plus fun is why we're here. We have a lot of people asking about motivation and incentives for people not to skip, forfeit, postpone, etc. Are we ready to talk about that, or do we?
Let's see. I think we can hold out a little bit about that. That is a big topic, and it's one of our main points going into this season. Was how can we change that? How can we stop teams from leaving midway through the season? And one of the reasons we want to get with that, I guess it actually is the next topic, scheduling forfeits. So I guess we can go into that. I didn't realize that was that part. I was looking more into like the postseason part, which kind of ties into that. 1 second.
Sorry for keyboard
Sorry,
noise, by the way.
I gotta dry. I got a little. Been talking a lot, so I gotta keep myself hydrated. But anyway, so scheduling forfeits. Yeah, one of our next topics because we have had a lot of teams that are dropping out. They realize that they're not gonna. That there's no progress for them at this point. So they leave, and that's where we've kind of been throwing in some incentives, which we can actually get more into when we get to that medal section, which is a new feature that we're adding. I still want to talk about more of the overall changes with the whole scheduling and forfeiting. One thing is that we've had teams that have with scheduling issues where they reschedule for a date, and then coming that date an hour before game time, teams are like, oh, well, we can't play that date anymore, and we've kind of had a hard issue. So we're going to set a little bit more restrictions. We're trying to set a little bit more restrictions on how you can reschedule. Where we're going to, one of the ideas we have right now is that you have to reschedule. Like if you, first of all, we encourage people talking about, hey, we're still confirmed to play this day, should be every league day. The next part would be about we need to would be about you cannot like reschedule less than 24 hours in advance. So you can't be telling a team, yeah, we're going to be there, and then come an hour before game time, like, oh no, we can't play that day, because then it's just a big like gray area. We want to reduce that time where teams have set their days, like, okay, I already, didn't go to this baseball game because I knew I was going to play this. So, like, oh, I didn't, hang out with my friends today, or miss out on this date because I purposely set a schedule so that sorry, I was reading chat, so that we can play this day, and we want to reduce that so people aren't wasting time waiting in the lobby for a team just to not show up, and there's a lot of typing noise. And also,
Sorry, I can't seem to win with the typing noises.
Yeah.
I'll move my head like this.
Yeah, and so another part with that is that we don't want teams to be delaying games too long. Okay, like I know my team, for example, had a game where we were all ready for the lobby, and then all of a sudden one of their players decided to play a quick match game, and a quick match game can have, depending on how the game lasts, can take, or not a quick play. It was a competitive game, so obviously someone doesn't want to leave a competitive game, but at the same time, you guys knew the game time and you started one up, making your team wait. That's something we want to alleviate from. We don't want people waiting an extra hour than the scheduled game time. So there's a few changes with that, and along with that, forfeits. We didn't really have a good way to submit forfeits this season. Um, and this also ties in with how the divisions work. So lately, it's been where the forfeits have been counting as a 2-0 kind of victory, or either that, or the teams were just dropped away from the division, like just poof gone. We're not gonna just poof teams away. So the reason why is because we've seen it in here where a team was 3-4 in the division, and then all of a sudden 3 teams dropped, and now that team was 3-1. So that's like they're nearly in like pretty much like second place, just because 3 teams left in the division, and that's not something we want. So we still want to encourage games to be played, but if you do if you lose from a team that ends up dropping, we're not going to be getting rid of that loss because we feel that's unfair that the teams that have been, playing their games out and beat the teams. And along with that, we don't want teams to feel like they get a free 2-0 victory while another team beat a team 2-1, but just because that team dropped, we're not going to be giving a team 2-0. So a forfeit is going to be going with a 0-0 score because of that. You still get the win, but those points will not count against you that you lost. So the whole point system is going to be based on over like an efficiency, sort of speak. So when you have a game, so the way this works, so say a game goes, say it was 3 points, okay, it's not gonna, you wouldn't, and say you won all the 3 points, and another team, they also won all the games, but they had one forfeit win. So what it would be you would have 18 points out of 18 points, and another team would have 15 points out of 15 points. So you wouldn't count those extra points for a game that wasn't played. So that way, you're not going to be. It's not going to benefit a team that doesn't actually play a game. And also, like at the same time, when teams drop out of the league, we're not going to be giving away free wins because of that. Like if you still lost the game, you still lost the game with that. And with that, the score efficiency way is going to be a better way to play out the overall like division placements. So, because otherwise, a team that maybe they only played one of their games, but they won the rest out of forfeits. I mean, it's not really fair for them to, you know, beat a team that won other games. So I guess except you can add all teams win all the games. But anyway, a team that won all the games except for they played all the games, it wouldn't be fair in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And one question I'm seeing in chat that I think is worth addressing real quick is what is SR difference for a team now? Sorry, just jump randomly. I think this one's real quick. We're going to try to generally have teams stick within a 1,000 SR difference among members. It's going to be on a case by case basis. Obviously, if you have someone who's like let's say 2.3K and you want to play with like a 3.31, we're probably gonna say okay. But the idea is to avoid that goal being a team for the master scenario. We don't want games to become kill one person or this person's going to carry us to victory. Our goal is to create balanced games where everyone on the team is learning equally and everyone on the team is having to contribute equally for your team to be victorious. And so for that reason, we are instituting an SR cap of 1,000.
Yeah, essentially, we don't want to break up 6 stacks, but we also don't want to create situations where it's not educational and it's not fun due to an insane imbalance.
Yeah.
Given that those are our 2 primary goals, we'll play it case by case, but especially when it comes down to the wire. One thing we haven't mentioned is that we're planning on doing a draft at the end of signups. It's not going to be a super formal thing. It will mostly be okay, if you are not yet on a team and you are not yet full because you haven't been able to grab free agents, everybody show up on this day. We are assigning the remainder of free agents to a team. Get it done before that. You don't want to wait for the draft. You don't want to sit around and wait for the draft. But
in
on
some of
the day
those
of the draft, go ahead.
I was gonna say some of those like with that draft stuff, we'll try to get a more formal document before that like draft's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So probably during like halfway through through the signups, we'll talk about more of the discussion of when the draft is, or like we'll release the date for that so that people can be available to know. Okay, uh, maybe I mean we have so many options we can do. You know, we have an option though. Maybe if captains are there, we'll let them pick. Okay, like now that it's been a while, these are the people left. You maybe pick. There's so many options we can do that we're still gonna lay out, but that's the general consensus of it. Was what Noam was describing. So we still want to encourage people to be able to pick for themselves. We don't want to have to spoon feed people, which goes into that. So like we encourage people. We'll try to set some dates. We don't want to give any now, because we still have to write up official formatting. But with that, we would like to encourage people to be, at least the captain who can be available, or if not the captain, make one of your teammates available for that. If okay, well, we really can't decide on a player. Let's just pick, and then you have that option there.
And the reason that I brought it up when we were talking about SR limits is because we are more likely to be lenient, somewhat within reason, with teams that have already recruited, done the recruiting themselves, or are a six stack of friends and know each other, than we are at the draft. When it comes to the draft, we are going to stick to SR limits a lot.
Yeah, we'll probably be like, okay, these are the players in this range that you can choose from, and choose from them so that they can fill out your team. Because we don't want to have to break up friends, which is why I like that SR limit. We don't want to be like super strict with it, but we still want to have some sort of limit there so that teams are not getting completely carried by a Tracer or a McCree.
Mm-hmm. Or a Mercy, who knows?
Yeah, that's
Sports
true.
can carry two guys.
Yeah, that's true. I would say Anna more if anything,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah,
you get
joking,
or maybe
but...
Lucio. Lucio is coming
yeah.
up. He's gonna be a DPS.
Yeah. Thank you, Lucio, coming in.
Yeah. So yeah, there's. I mean, it's still a lot of that's still kind of up in the air, but we're trying to give a general consensus with this. We want to get some official documents out. Still, with a lot of the other stuff that we're going to be discussing, we want to get a few different articles out. With more specific details on, like medals, for example, ambassadors, the draft system, all those we're going to try to get a postseason. We're going to try to get all those into their own separate articles so that there's more details on them, and we can maybe pull in some case by case examples of what fits the scenario.
All right, so their next topic on our oh yeah, let's hear is tiebreakers. We're changing the tiebreaker system a bit.
Oh yeah, so
It's gonna be pretty simple. If a map draws, to a CP draw, actually, supposedly new changes are gonna prevent draws, which is cool. But in the event that a map does draw, for any reason, we're going to do a best of one control point map. The control point map is going to be just tiebreaker map. It's going to be just like the neutral map. It's going to be on rotation. Which, by the way, the rotations are changing for season 2, both neutral map and tiebreaker. But it's going to be simple, best of one on a control point. Do it real quick right after the draw in game, and then move on to your next game.
Because one of the things that we've had to deal with are matches, especially during our 3-hour plus stream brackets, matches dragging out. If it goes to the full 3 games, and then every single one goes to the full overtime, and then we have a tiebreaker, etc. People need to sleep. People need to eat. So we are simplifying the tiebreaker, as Off the Dock said. I've been, by the way, if you're asking questions in chat, I'm recording them as best I can to make sure that we get to them as we continue to move through our topics.
yes, so I see someone posted a one that I want to bring up about what if the team plays one game and drops out of the league, their first loss, the team that beat them has the advantage of extra points. If a situation like that where a team fully drops out of the league, it will likely try to find, in the first 1 or 2 weeks, we'll try to find teams that can replace that, because it's a little bit easier. If it's a midway through the season, it's hard to do that. But the point is that when you have that extra points, I mean, if that's the case, even if that's the case, I guess that would be a time when we would remove that team, and we would just assign an extra. You'd play another team an extra time with that. So there's a lot of ways to deal with that. Just that situation is more of a case by case scenario. But likely, if that was to happen, you would still use percentages. there. So it's more percentage based rather than raw number. When you go with raw number, you got to look at games played, and if you don't go into games played, that's where you go. If you go into raw numbers, that's where you get a little bit of an issue. Okay, one team forfeits. Okay, we're gonna drop eight. We're gonna drop six out of those 7 games because the last week someone uh, forfeited. I mean, it's not realistic. That's why we want to go with percentages based off games played rather than doing the raw numbers. So that's where it gets into that. And it can be, it's a sticky situation, but it's it's hard to combat that because otherwise you could have a situation where 6 out of those 8 teams leave because they're not this top two in the division, and then boom, then it's like that's that's a little boring there. But yeah, tiebreakers. Yeah, we've been seeing a few times where tiebreakers can take a little bit longer than really, especially if a game lasts all the way to overtime on the map or goes into the extra overtime. We want to kind of limit that, especially when we get into our streams where we're cutting into, because we try to keep. Usually, a series can last an hour, but if you add extra tiebreakers that are best of three or even like best of five, I've seen people do that. It gets it drags on a lot longer, and I'm pretty sure the other leagues themselves, they also use a best of one for a tiebreaker. So we kind of don't want it to be too.
All right,
So
so coming up to that, our next big topic is captains. You want to take this one, Nose?
Sure. Let me just switch one of my bazillion things here. All right. So last season, teams were put together. Congratulations, like we said before. Congratulations, the admins have decided you're a team. This season, we would like things to work differently. We are calling on volunteers to appoint themselves captains, to volunteer to be a team captain. Whether it's you have two friends who want to sign up and one of you says, yeah, sure, I'll go ahead and be a captain or something like that. We are calling on you to be the focal point around which a team is formed. Choosing to be a captain means that you can go out there, recruit players, build your team the way you want, compatible with your time zones, your skill sets, your personalities, etc. We would prefer not to have people forced into the role of captain. I know at least one person in the chat experienced that and hated it. Others have had a great time, but really we want that to fall to people who are in a position to do so, and we want to make sure that it's worth their effort. So the primary perk of choosing to be a captain and signing up as a captain is, again, the ability to recruit players to your team and take charge of that. Now, the standard, other than that, there won't be a whole lot changing about the role of captain, aside from being able to vote for players for the All-Star game at the end of the season, which we'll come across later. But we are, like I said, we are calling on people to step up to the plate to take the captain role. Being the captain does not mean that you have to be the best player on your team. It just means that you need to organize things, figure out when you're scrimming, when your games are, communicate with other captains, recruit players, make sure you have subs and fills, etc. So if you are interested in being a captain, you will have the option to sign up as such the moment the signups open, whether you are 6-stack, partial stack, or solo.
Yeah,
yeah,
and if you are signing up as a group, it would be awesome if you could indicate someone as your captain. It'd help us out a lot because that if you're going to be like group of 3 or group of 4, you're getting a couple of solo queues. It's probably less ideal for one of the solo queues to be your captain.
yeah, and with that, I mean, we'll take it like case by case situation as well. Like if we see a sign up where maybe this 3-stack played on a team last season or something, and we want to pair him up with another 3-stack who also offered to be captain. We'll likely go with someone who has a little bit more experience with that. But I mean, it really is case in case scenario. But having a captain, right? People volunteer to be captain. It helps out so that by the when we go into those single steps, it's one less situation. Okay, who's going to be captain of the team, and teams are free to change their captains, without the season, just because, maybe one's like, okay, I'm not really working out as captain, I don't have the responsibility to set up these meetings, it's changeable. We'd rather have someone there from the start than have to, have people scrap together. Okay, who wants to be captain? Because we've seen teams where like, I don't want to be captain. I don't want to be captain. And with that, we want to separate that and have all those people that are willing to be captains, and not have to put a team together where there's no one that wants to be a captain. And the way I see it is that we're gonna have more people that are going to want to be captains that are available, and that's where you kind of can go into like our like assistant captain that we did last season, which helps out a little bit. But we at least want to have those available at the start of the season rather than wait till people submit who their captain is. I guess if you guys have anything, I think we can go into the additional features that we're going to be adding to the league. But I think is where most people are a little bit excited about.
Excellent. So do we want to talk about medals first? And if so, do you want me to take that? Do you want to take that? We already have some questions about it that I'd be happy to answer
We have
as well.
some questions about it. I think because of what medals attribute to, I think we should do the postseason first.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's talk about postseason and then we'll get there.
Okay. And if you want, if you want to take on postseason, or I could even, really,
You do
I'm
postseason.
definitely
That
gonna,
was your brainchild.
I definitely medal was my big thing, that I focus on. But I'll get into the postseason. So, with this, we liked the original idea of having divisional placements was a good idea, and it rolled off similar like real sports leagues. So like soccer, especially like this being like a half this community essentially being like EU, is big in like the soccer region, or I guess football, that's EU. um, was the whole regulation thing where if you're not good, then you move up, or you move down. If you're good, you move up. But the problem being with that is that we've had so many teams drop during the season that it's like, okay, those should we drop those remainder teams even though they wouldn't technically be the final teams, because and that also ties you're typing really loud. It's really loud right now, sorry. um, but it also ties in like where we were talking about the teams dropping and it being unfair. We don't want, like, it would be unfair to lower teams that didn't drop because technically they're on the bottom too. Also with that, so what could happen is, say Division 9 team, okay, they win, they move up to Division 8, but all of a sudden our numbers increase, and that also means that our higher level teams increase. So instead, we have a big gap of teams in between Division 1 and 4, so we add three new divisions there. So that team that would be Division 8 has now dropped down to Division 10 because three new divisions are added. So it's a little, the logic behind it was a little like, I guess it was more of like we weren't expecting teams to drop as much, and we weren't expecting for the large uh, influx of signups that we had in season one. So that's why we wanted to go with a new system that's used in a bit more sports. And I know there's a big concern that I've seen. The first concern that I've been brought up with it was because of if it's cross divisional, you're gonna have, Division One team's gonna destroy a Division 14 team, which is nearly obvious. You're gonna have that happen. Which is where we get into more of like the way the seeding works and trying to work these teams around, um, into sets that attribute more to their skill level. But with that, we'd rather have teams being able to have something to look forward to at the end of the season. Sorry, I was just reading chat because I was seeing. Oh,
Yeah, if you can
okay.
get
Oh,
Half's
playback. Okay,
question.
playback. Okay, yeah. So, okay. So I'm sorry. I was just reading the full question there that we have. This seems teams who top the division due to mass improvements or just being better get trapped as worst players. Um, okay. So yeah, with the playoffs, we kind of want to be able to have something for these teams to, and since we are getting rid of the divisional placements because of the numbers not really working out in the favor, we want to be able to have a little bit tournament event, because it is possible for a team, and like I'll say for my team for example, we're in Division 11, we scrimmed a Division 13 team who practice all the time, and they were nearly on par with us because of that. And that's what happens if you get a more casual team like mine was, going against a team that is practicing all the time and doing VOD reviews and have coaches all the time. Like they have, I think, three coaches on their team, like in their Discord. It really can make a difference, and that's one thing with this league is that you have people in all different areas. You have the more casual teams. You have teams that are really looking to gain on another level, and bringing these teams together, you can really see. So like I definitely can see a Division 13 team being a Division 9 team based on the amount of chemistry they have. Chemistry can play a big role, even though you are seeing a gold team facing up against a high plat team. There's definitely a chance that can happen, and upsets can happen all over over the place. It happens all the time in sports. You've seen. I think it was a there was there it's all over sports in general. It happens even in esports as well, which is the thing with the play. The playoffs seem a little. Uh, you're like, oh, we're gonna get destroyed by a team in a higher division, but that's not necessarily the case. And it tests your strength as a team. It's a big feat of strength to be able to beat a team in a higher division, and also like you have a chance to play against the team that you lost to in your division and be like, okay, um, maybe we can do better than them. Like Gnome's team. So we lost to Gnome's team. Well, maybe they lose to a Division 9 team and we beat that Division 9 team in the end of the championship. It gives time for people to improve. So okay, we know we're making playoffs. Let's now that we haven't been taking it as serious, let's get really serious. Learn from our mistakes. We have a little bit of a break between the postseason. Let's get better. Which also, going into that, like I say, I've been waiting to discuss this part of how to get into the postseason. Like right now, we have the top two from each division. Just to roll off the same tongue that we did last season, where the top two, are going into promotion divisions, so that we kind of have a base for the people who actually did well in the season. We will also have alternative methods, which we'll tie into really soon about medals, which is an alternative way for people to play. And there's a lot to discuss into that. That I guess we'll have Gnome move on to that as he's really interested in talking about that. But the playoffs are there as an alternative for a replacement for the divisional promotions because it's just the logic there is not the numbers don't really add up.
Am I live? I'm still figuring out my mute button.
Very good.
Sweet. So let's talk about medals. First off, before I get into this, I do want to say that this was Pimp's idea. So, credit where credit is due.
It's a stolen
That
idea.
being
But
stole a what is it? Good artists borrow, great artists steal. Something like I think Oscar Wilde said that.
yeah.
Well, anyways, the idea behind medals is to give teams benchmarks and objectives to complete within the season in order to get a shot at the playoffs. I know people are concerned about this turning the entire league into a meme fest, and that is not our goal. We are going to have a variety of different types of medals that you can earn. Some of them are meme-tastic, not going to lie. Complete a match without a tank, etc., etc. We do want those to be in there. Those are fun. But we want to assign every medal a point value. This is still a work in progress, so please be patient with us and keep in mind we do have the primary goals of the league, fun and education, in mind when we're doing this. So we're going to take this seriously and make sure that we don't mess it up. And we'll be soliciting feedback down the line. But anyways, we have a variety of different medals in mind. Some of them being, run this crazy comp, do this strategy on this map, take a picture of your team all emoting or a pregame ritual in-game, record a sweet highlight and upload it to YouTube. Some of these are for, again, in-game fun. Some of these are improvement ideas. Scrim against a higher division team and beat them, or just scrim against them in the first place. More points if you beat them. Get one of your scrims cast by one of our casters. Attend a coaching session. Do a VOD review exchange with another team. So you can see that some of these are going to focus directly on our goals of education and improvement. Others are designed to foster the community, providing content for our website, Facebook, Twitter by uploading highlights, participating in community activities like workshops, scrims, etc. Some of them are going to be in-game things, shutout, win a game in a complete shutout, capture the point within 30 seconds, stuff like that. We have a wide variety of these medals in mind, and we don't intend them to completely replace the traditional goals of just win the game.
Yeah,
So,
I want to add to that. So like the thing is that with some of them, yeah, they're going to be they're not going to be completely like game related. So like there's a lot of people that want to be like we should only award the people that are doing the best out of the best. And like the point with that is that when you do that, that's where we get into the issue with teams dropping from the league, and that's the way we want people to have their own fun. Like we want to have people to learn. We also want people to have fun in this league, which what sets us away from being the super competitive nature of what other leagues have been about. And along with that, even though you are possibly going against a composition that isn't off the meta, you still would have to learn because you want to know how to deal with that comp. Because it's possible if you guys are trying to raise your SR, it's possible that you go up against a comp like that and you guys don't know how to handle it, and that's an issue. And it's not like it's going to be every game. It's not. I feel like people are feeling like every game they play, it's going to be like, all right, teams aren't trying, they're going to lose. The way I see it, and the way that my team would approach it is that we're going to play our games normal. We want to win our games. That's our first foremost thing, is to win our games. If we figure out, okay, like we're not really having an issue here with winning, let's at least have fun with the rest of the league, rather than okay, let's just drop out. And we'd rather have teams being able to play than just dropping out because they're not having fun because they're just getting mollywopped. So there's more things to that. And as Noam was saying, we want to have more incentives than just like in-game stuff. So yeah, there will be some lolsy stuff with it. We'll have some stuff that might not even be game related, but it's more community based related to build the community, which is our first and foremost thing, is to keep this community sustained and have learning experience as well as content for the community itself, as well as have some actually challenging things that people need to defeat. So maybe it's like you win a control point map, one round of control point, 100% to zero. Whether it be let's play this, let's do a Simtor Bastion composition and win, or score or something, or hold a defense like that. There's so many options that we have available that we want to run up. We want to expand it onto multiple different planes. We don't want it to be like, okay, we're making this pure lolzy that you don't have to do anything to do it, and that's where we're gonna set a limit. It's like you need to receive X amount of these points to get into playoffs. So it's not like immediate. Okay, you're in playoffs now because you do this. It's good. We're still gonna have challenging things for this.
our goal is that. Am I live, by the way?
Yeah, you're live.
I'll figure out this headset eventually. The goal is that a team would not be able to purely meme their way to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That could absolutely be part of it, but being good league citizens overall and doing things like, as a team, raise your average SR, those other constructive things, you won't be able to get 750 or whatever goal we set for medals to get a shot at the playoffs. You won't be able to hit that number just by memeing and by doing goofy stuff. You're going to have to do a combination of that with other more productive things. The goal, again, is to increase community engagement overall. So yeah, don't worry that it's going to turn the whole thing into a cheese fest.
We're not trying to turn this into like anti-competitive environment, and I suspect that it's going to be more towards the lower divisions that you're going to see this happen often. Well, the way I see it's going to be, you're going to have teams that are going to be like, all right, let's get these medals out of the way so we can secure a playoff spot, and but at that same time they're taking a risk. So you have two to up to 3 games you can play in a night. So let's say, okay, hey, let's try this medal this first game. If we don't get it, game 2 we're taking serious and we're gonna push this to a game 3. It's a risk that some people will be willing to take for that. Essentially, yeah, as this person said, it's like a wild card slot in here, and that's another thing, is it increases the size of the playoffs. A larger pool, and who knows? Maybe you get a team that is okay, like they do completely bad the first half of the season, but like, all right, we're gonna stick together the rest of the half of the season. We're gonna work this out. And then all of a sudden, they raise like 500 SR in one day, one night. playing together in matchmaking, but they realize, okay, it's too late for us to make playoffs. Let's go for these achievements or medals, and all of a sudden they come into playoffs and they blow people away because they played as a team. And a lot of the resources that coaches say is try just playing for fun with a team. This is another way for teams to do that. There's a lot of times that teams don't get chances to play other than these game days, and that's another way to raise chemistry is having a little bit more fun with it. Some people say play another game, like a different game off of Overwatch. Some people say, all right, just have some fun in quick play or something. That's, I mean, yeah, you can do it in quick play, but this is also a time that those teams can get together and have fun as well. I mean, this league's not purely about being in a competitive nature. It's also about having fun, and it's also about learning. So there's all those. There's I guess you could call it three aspects of this league that we focus on, like fun, learning, and competitive. Because we're essentially kind of bridging the gap between the casual to competitive, and by doing that, we teach people this. So I mean, we don't want to discredit the top teams from performing well just because some other team can get into playoffs by you could call it an easier route, but that's why like the seeding format is still going to prioritize those teams. And I know we talked about postseason a little bit, or pretty much right before this. Those the seeding goals are going to be still prioritized on those division winners, and and you pretty much split that into people who earned by winning and people earned by medals in that seeding format. So it's still going to be you know a linear cycle on seeding, so that we don't have people who. But I mean, there's still a lot we can work with the playoffs. It also depends on the number of divisions we get, how the playoffs and medal system will work out together.
A lot of these things are moving targets. We've presented our vision and our initial ideas, and
Mhm.
we'll do a lot more to solidify them once, we have all the data, all the players, all the signups are done, etc.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that we can at least clear up some things. I know that on the Reddit post there was a lot of back and forth with it, and as well as on the Discord. And I just want people to fully understand like our intentions with that, on all aspects. And like I said, we haven't fully written all of the medals up. There's a lot of options that we have available to us that we want to make available. And yeah, the community involvement, in encouraging people to stay around the league, and having fun in general, and as well as completing feats of strength is is in our scope. So there's all sorts of different scopes for it that maybe it wasn't described well enough in our posts, but that's why we have the session here so we can get more into depth on the reasonings behind that.
Speaking of which, next topic, and then we will dig right back into questions. Thanks everyone for sticking with us as we go into about an hour into this cast.
Yep.
A couple of other topics from the original post are the All-Star Game and Ambassadors. Now, the All-Star Game is another work in progress. The exact shape of it is going to depend heavily on how divisions end up, how many divisions we have. But the idea is that we're going to nominate 1 to 2 players from each division in each region based on the captains nominating players not on their team, the division voting, and that division will send 1 to 2, depending on how many divisions we have, to join all-star teams. And then we'll have an all-star game just for fun. Again, not for, I mean, yeah, we'll take it seriously, but it'll just be another fun expo thing to do during the mid-season while we're working on season 3. And there will, of course, be big SR differences. It'll be a bit of a madness event, all things considered, but it'll mostly just be an opportunity to celebrate the camaraderie in the league, some of your favorite players in the league, see them all in action. How exactly that will work is going to be heavily dependent on how many divisions we end up with.
Yeah, and
So
like we were saying, it'll be a bit of a madness. So like we have like those madness events we throw. Usually it's been like every other week. Sometimes I think we've had them like once a week, once every week. But we're still gonna be throwing those events here and there. But yeah, it's essentially it will the way that I look at it is that you're gonna have a lot of the people in the community that are paying attention to other divisions as well. Watching the streams and seeing who's been playing, and that will give people some insight. I know there's probably some questions about who will like how okay how does this Division 1 person know about who's in Division 14. And that really depends on your community involvement. Like if you want to get noticed, you got to be put your team out there so that you guys are known. If you're really interested, or maybe you don't have and vote this person for Division 4 team. That part's can kind of be a popularity contest. But the more you get involved with the league, the more you'll be able to realize this player is actually as fairly well. Maybe could be in a higher division, and that's why I'm going to vote them as an all-star for the division. Uh, but also maybe we have highlights out. Okay, you've been watching a lot of highlights, and then okay, oh I know that person. I mean, yeah, it does get to a little popularity there, but it really it's really just for fun to add a little more excitement for each division. I know there's some players that are like, oh, I'm definitely gonna get All Star. Maybe that's what their goal is, to get into the All Star game. It also provides a little sort of competition between individual players themselves rather than just like teams. Um, so there's a lot of things to work with in with it, and it's just another event that we want to have to add some excitement to the league.
Next topic. Am I live?
Yep.
I like my main headset because I can tell. Oh, the switch is here. I'm live. The switch is here. I'm not live. Anyways, next topic: division ambassadors. So the idea is ambassadors will be liaisons between divisions and the admins, not to make us more removed, but to help with scheduling conflicts and discussions and just answering questions for rookies, making sure the scores get updated. We're still working on the exact job description and scope, and a lot of this is going to depend on how much website functionality we have for our new website. But we will be considering division ambassadors, which I don't think we can really do until we have divisions. So
Yeah.
don't expect a whole lot more on this aside from clarification on the role until signups are well underway or complete.
Yeah, and with that, we can also. It's possible that depending on if the scope of their work is a little bit too much, we can also assign some ambassadors multiple divisions, just to kind of spread it out, or maybe like these we can trust these ambassadors with these many divisions. It really the master role that we want to set up the ambassadors for people to apply maybe around season startup so that we can have them get them trained before the division starts. We're obviously not going to have ambassadors for their own division just because of conflict of interest reasons, but likely the ambassadors will be picked out of community members who apply that have been proven to be um, helping for the community, having a positive cause. So if you're active answering questions for people, you're playing in events all the time, you're contributing to the knowledge of the spread of knowledge in the community. That's going to really help us decide who we want to have as our ambassadors. And the more you do, you can start now during this off season would help out. But there's definitely been some names that we've been watching, and we have as perfect examples. And we hope that you do want to sign up as an ambassador if you are one of those people that we've been watching. So watch out for that. I think ambassadors are really going to be are really going to help us out in the league. There's a lot of things that the admins have been doing to try to help overall, and there's a lot of little stuff that kind of gets in the way of what our plan of action is.
Sweet. That is. Am I muted?
No, you're good.
Sweet.
You're-
That is everything on the main post. So we probably have some other things to discuss, and we are going to go back through and answer your questions now. But before we do that, I wanted to go ahead and continue.
I just want to also add off that, just in case people were concerned, the ambassador role is not in sort of they don't provide any sort of disciplinary action, so they're not going to be the ones to go to if you have a complaint. If you have a complaint, any sort of harassment issue, or any sort of thing that is you really needed an admin for, please go to an admin. The ambassador is only there to answer questions, to more explain questions, as well as to keep your division on track with make sure the games are played in the correct format and recording kind of like those when those reschedules are happening. So we have those kind of documented so that we don't run into more issues with rescheduling that admins can get pulled away from. So, there's no and if you are having an issue with ambassador, obviously contact someone. But there is no way that an ambassador can tell you that you are banned. Sort of that they don't have disciplinary roles. They're purely just a helper someone that can provide assistance is the big thing with
And
that.
info and
Yep.
such. That being said, before we launch into further Q&A, and we had some people asking about casting and coaching and stuff like that. I wanted to remind everybody we have a YouTube channel, and please subscribe to it. We want to get up to 100 so that we can reserve and lock in our custom URL so nobody else can spawn camp it and charge us a bazillion dollars for it.
And now you just gave it away.
And yeah, now everyone in chat is running over to go hurry up and buy that or something. But yeah, please support the league and your admins by subscribing to the channel. I'm sure somebody can. Yep, just got dropped into by the always helpful Moobot.
Yay,
And all
Moobot.
right, unless Optodox, go ahead.
Yay, Moobot. That was literally all I had to say.
Your participation is noted. So let's go ahead and, unless anybody had something else they wanted to comment on, I've been keeping track of questions. So
Yeah. Oh, and there's one that just got answered in chat, and I think Opti could probably be more helpful with that by Mythbust Man about questions. Will there be league/division moderators to help take care of any disputes or watch over certain matches for cheaters and Smurfs? And if
All
people
right.
don't know, Opti is one of our head admins. So he definitely is more keen on the whole cheating and Smurf system, which would incorporate like bans and suspensions. So he can tie more in on that.
All right, so it's not something we have planned right now. It's just specifically like plant people in matches, try to have league officials watching every match. Because frankly, with the number of matches that happen in this league, that becomes unfeasible real quickly. But but I mean, as usual, our ears are always open to disputes. If you have anything you're worried about someone smurfing, just or if you think or if you have a dispute, if you have a match problem, just send us like footage. Send us basically the number one thing is it's hard for us to act on things unless we have evidence. So if you have a concern about something that's happening, try to make sure that all your like official games someone's recording. If you think someone's smurfing, record the play because we're really really happy to take concerns if you have them, but we're going to need evidence of it. And even though getting that evidence would be easier if we plant people in every match, it's just not something feasible at this time.
Yep. So with that, I guess no, you said you have some questions that you've been recording.
Yes. So the first question that I have on my list, and again, if we don't get to your question, please make sure that we get back to you. The first question that I have is, will there be any effort to group divisions by time zone? At this time, to the best of my knowledge, we are focusing on making sure that teams are grouped by time zone so that you can have your frequent practice and scrim buddies all together. But we're not planning on doing divisions based on time zones.
And one thing I want to know with that is I've thought about this at least, and I know another league I played on. We haven't ever done it by time zone because time zone, I mean, really, like 2 hour difference is not, or 3 hour is really not that big. The bigger issue is having people that play on weekends and weekdays. So I've myself thought about, okay, if we get to that level, maybe we can have a weekday division and a weekend division. So maybe like Wednesday would be like the weekday. Because in one of the leagues, and I'll just say now, I come from this griftball community where literally all the divisions were majority on weekdays. But the thing is, there was no ranking system like we have here, so it's harder to get those even divisions when you have multiple divisions based on time. Rather than if we can set a date, which is another reason why we allow like free scheduling, is so that people can play on different so that people are playing I messed up there. So that's why we have the divisions on one day, so that people know that they're always playing on this day. But if we were to separate divisions based on a time in the big, like I said, I think that the day is more important than actual time zone. With that, you run into the chances that SRs are going to be completely spread out across those divisions because of situations like that. So it is something that we have looked into with stuff like that, but I don't think it's really realistic in our case, just because of the whole SR system and trying to balance out teams.
Thank you. Yeah, so essentially, someday if we're huge enough, maybe that would be on the menu, but until then, not for the time being.
Yeah.
Teams try to stick together, divisions less so. Uh, Interrupt me if there's anything else you have to add. Next point, what about last minute reschedules? So we are still working on the specifics of the rules. This is all
Yep.
subject to change. But I do want to point out that we are going to implement minimum notification requirements so that
Yep.
if you have to reschedule within, if you don't give notice within, throwing this out there, this isn't official, 24 hours, then the other captain has the ability to declare that game a forfeit. Now, we are going to de-incentivize forfeits. It's not going to give you free points because it's going to be based on point efficiency. And captains have the ability to, on a case-by-case basis, say, no, that's fine, we'll reschedule. But we do want to put it into the team that is ready and available. We
Oh,
want to put it into their hands.
I didn't point this out. Another thing with the forfeits is we're encouraging teams to, which we also didn't bring up. So yeah, we with that, we do have ideas for like the whole rescheduling, but with that, I also wanted to point out forfeits. We also have discussed. That's another thing I'm going to get into MythBust Man about emergency case reschedules. I will get into that. Um, Another thing that we do want to point out that with the whole forfeits is that we want to wait for teams at the end of the season to report those forfeits. Because yeah, there could be a situation where a team really couldn't contact the other team because there was maybe there was an emergency case where that person wasn't able to get on and they weren't even able to contact the rest of their team or something to do that, which is another reason where the captains should contact the other players if they don't ever get responses. But we do want to wait for forfeits to be reported at the end of the season because there's a chance. Okay, maybe there's all right. We actually do want to play this game. Maybe at the beginning of the season, we're like, all right, we don't want to play it, or maybe because like, all right, well now we want those points. We want to 2-0 that team so that we get the 100% percentage. Um, but there's also like so like we want to discourage forfeits on
Mm-hmm.
both sides from accepting them and ha- having forfeits. Uh, so that the kind of ties into that whole system that we also don't want teams to promise a game time repeatedly because we've had this happen with teams where we promise a game time repeatedly and then rescheduled multiple times. We want to reduce that, but we've also talked about having maybe teams have uh, maybe a limited amount of emergency reschedules. So like, okay, this is our one emergency reschedule, but we don't want that's another thing that can also be abused, which is why we also like encourage the having substitutes, which is another thing that we encourage teams to also have like backup players if they want, maybe friends that that don't want to play in the league, but can they can maybe be around to substitute. Um, but with that, we it's a huge thing that can get taken advantage of having that emergency reschedule system.
We encourage and ask all league participants to keep in mind the primary goals of the league,
Mm-hmm.
those being fun, education, and competition, roughly in that order. So it really defeats the purpose, especially since there's no prize money on the line. It really defeats the purpose of the league to try to game the system and use forfeits and scheduling stuff to avoid playing tough teams, etc. Because the whole point of this is to improve and to play more games. So, given that there's nothing on the line, it's really against the spirit of the league and also highly impractical to be a jerk about either to be conniving about avoiding matches or a jerk about holding people to being too strict with people. So we're going to ask the captains and the community in general to keep that in mind when they're dealing with forfeits and reschedules and all that, while still putting in some measures to protect the time for those who are really committed to this and who are willing to put aside several hours of their week to participate. We want to respect them while also not being, this isn't the Carbon series. Anything else?
No, I think that pretty much answers that question
Excellent.
the most we can.
Uh,
All right. So what's up next on the question list?
we had incentives to not drop out forfeit. We're going to use medals. We've taken a
Mm-hmm.
couple of ideas from the chat, and we're going to discuss them as the admin team. We think that I mean, if a team has to forfeit, if a team has too many forfeits, and this isn't a number we have locked down, but if it's a 7 match season and you have 3 forfeits, you probably shouldn't be eligible for the top spots. We'll take that and other things into consideration to
Yeah,
discourage forfeits.
yeah, we definitely don't want to have those forfeits and like a team, get all their medals and then be like, all right, we're going to forfeit the rest of the league. That's not going to be a case. Um,
The next question, why must this be on during the Carbon series? It's because we have a deep-seated personal hatred for the person who asked that question, whose name I forget. How will teams move up season to season now that we're doing away with the promotion system? Our hope is organically. If we do new signups every time, we would like to see the improvements you make as a team. For example, my team has really gelled together and learned a lot by practicing the different maps, learning actual strategies for each map. We'd like to see that reflected in an improvement in your SR. So hopefully it's going to happen organically. We will be recording wins. We're going to have sort of a Hall of Fame or trophy system to record the progress and accomplishments of teams over the various seasons. So we'd like to offer sort of team profile where you can say, wow, this team's been playing since season one. They've won this and this and this and this, etc. But again, in terms of actual division progression, keep playing competitive for the time being. We're just going to say direct your energy towards improvement.
yeah, and I think that's one of the big thing that a lot of teams have done. We've seen teams in multiple divisions where they've met their team here and they've gone to competitive and gone up a whole nother tier just because they've played together. And that's the thing, if you get into that set where you can play with a set of friends and complete continuously improve in chemistry is a big thing. Chemistry wins over skill, I would say 90 out of 10. Just because you're
Absolutely.
having a good chemistry, and that's one thing is that when you get in a game like this, the whole another skill set that can be learned is learning how fast you can learn someone's uh, get chemistry with someone. So I've had teammates, like that we played, a couple matches, using that, feature on competitive play where you group up with someone and you guys, playing well together. That's worthy enough to add someone as a friend, and maybe okay, well, boom, now I want to play with this person on a team. Um, but I mean, gaining chemistry is a big thing that helps out with this and that allows teams to improve on it. We encourage people to play together as a team, and if you're really interested in getting onto that next level, you should reconsider your team standards. Maybe there's one player that can't really get on all the time. If you don't want to completely kick them off, consider getting a backup for them so that you can sub them out when you want to. Maybe that this person's more likely to play comp with you guys. Uh, so there's so many different ways for teams themselves, but this is a stepping stone to get you guys together and get you in an environment where you can practice and not have it negatively affect you, because it's not going to affect your SR, which maybe some people. Um, okay, I'm just answering the question, which I think if you want to copy that one, we can save that one for a little bit. And
I've been copying a couple of these.
okay. Um,
All right. So the next question was, how does Midweek Madness work? And are there any plans to have Midweek Madness bracketed by SR? Because sometimes you're going to have crazy disparities within the Midweek Madness games. So at this time, there is no plan to majorly change the way that Midweek Madness seeding works. And I'll give a little insight into how we run those. We take all the signups, we sort them by SR, we assign, go through 1, 2, 3, 4. If we have 6 teams, we go say, okay, from lowest to highest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, on and on. And then we divide them up by those numbers that we've assigned them, and we calculate the average SR. And it usually ends up being pretty darn close to each other. Where things get messed up is usually where somebody at the last minute doesn't show up and we have to throw in a sub and we don't have enough time to get the right SR in there, etc.
yeah, I
Now,
think one of the issues that you'll get players. So, okay, so let's say we get a master Lucio player on this team. But on the other team, we get a master Genji or Tracer player, so role that can more likely have a carry role, and that's where I think some people run into issues where they feel like it's unfair. And like, while we'd love to have these SR based random events, It's more really dependent on the sign up. So if you really want that, encourage spreading information on when the events are happening. Recruit. I mean, I think that we can maybe get some things going on. I know I want to go into matchmaking someday and just start recruiting every game. Post a little information about the league and spread some awareness there. Just to there's going to be definitely people who are going to think that's a friendly environment that they want to join. That's one thing you really want to encourage. If you do go out and spread information, is that this is a friendly environment. We're looking for people to join. But I mean, otherwise, try to get the community more involved. Be around. I mean, get people in your division involved, and that way you can get those more similar SRs. But until we get the signups for it, it's less than likely.
So essentially, the Midweek Madness events are always going to be a little bit chaotic, and that is somewhat by design. The more players we have, the bigger the pools are, the smoother things will go. But we encourage people to take the Midweek Madness events as just for fun. Things are going to be unbalanced, things are going to be crazy, weird stuff is going to happen. We would like to offer more activities that are focused on particular SR branches or have more advanced seeding in place, etc. We do have those on our to-do list. Where they are in priority, Midweek Madness is a lot of work to run, but easier than a more formal tournament structure. So we would like to have things where it's more SR block, so it'll be a little less chaotic, a little bit easier to get involved and not get raffle stomped by the random pro Genji who ends up on your team. But for the time being, Midweek Madness is going to remain mad. We hope you have enjoyed it. A lot of people have had fun with it. Just take it with the spirit of fun and let's see what happens. So again, future events, yes, we will have SR limits and brackets. Midweek Madness, no, probably staying the way it is for now. Next question, how will playoff brackets work? This seems like teams who top the division due to massive improvements or just getting better, being trapped with worse players. So this is going to depend, I am sure, on how many teams we end up having, how many divisions we end up having. I think Pimp was masterminding this one, and the plan was to have some combination of the top two from each division plus wildcard teams. I imagine the answer to this one is we will work on it down the line once we have
Yeah.
signups complete. But
Mm-hmm.
Pimp, do you have
Yeah.
anything to add or Optodox?
No, after you can go. You
I
have been
know.
playing for a while.
I was going to say that this isn't something we're going to finalize for a good while. The playoffs are a long way down the road. We have weeks to work on that, and for now, we're trying to focus on getting season two running, up and running before we start planning our end of season events.
Yeah, and with that, the playoff structure is so. Yeah, we said we definitely are for sure having those top two, from the divisions, in there. And the only other thing I can think of that is really an issue is, that we might need to do is separate it by a certain group range. If we have 12 divisions, for example, do 1 through 4, do 5 through 8, and then do 9 through 12, in their own little, maybe like elite legacy rookie, something like that. Whatever. Maybe we can call it something, some sort of name set for those divisions, just based on the number of signups we get. But the goal, I mean, essentially, what would happen is that those wildcard teams, being that they, weren't succeeding, you're more than likely to beat them anyway. So the goal is that I mean, for the top teams, you can use. They're not gonna be using cheese strats. So there's still gonna be games where they're trying to win to play to win, since it is actually playoffs, and they'll be able to use those. You'll be able to use those as a good way to practice for the next round as well. Um, but I mean, it really highly depends on the number of signups, and like we have this like scale range for the medals system, so it's really going to depend, and also seeding still is based off not just medals, but when you get to that level, but also like your win percentage across those medals. So if say you were a last place team, you're gonna have a lower seeding than a team that was third place that got medals. So you're still gonna get a little bit of a competition across it. Plus, if you are at a lower division, but you're playing a higher division that lost and had to go to the medal relegation, you usually have an advantage because most of those teams are losing because of a chemistry issue and a lack of a teamwork. So like Gnome's team, for example, highly like you hear their comms, they use they use a lot of military terms, and it's like really clear comms, you know. But you might have a team that was in Division 9 that had terrible comms and terrible chemistry, and because of that, Gnome's team's gonna win that because of situation. So it really depends. It's really a case by case situation, and depends on the number of assignments. But it's not going to be that essentially that teams that are good are going to be going against worse teams, because teams can really literally change. Playoffs is a completely different structure in any sports. You can call that. You can look at teams that were doing very good and just choked. Look at the Dallas Cowboys, for example, NFL. They were doing great all season. They come against the Packers, which I'm a Packers fan, so I got to bring this up. And Packers like blew them out of the water. Okay, so it's like stuff like that can happen. You know, people choke. So it's like stuff like that can happen, and it's really possible. So like playoffs is a completely different story, and changes people's mentalities completely.
All right. So next up, we had people asking about coaching and casting, and kind of like this goes with everything else. For season 2, we want there to be more structure, more resources, and more opportunities. So we are working on our own proprietary database powered by our website. This is a work in progress, and it is going to change the way a lot of things operate. We would like to have, and don't hold me to the stuff I'm about to talk about. This is all speculative in the future. I don't know the final form it's going to take. This is all Blizzard speak, all right? But things that we would like to have coach profiles, what sort of classes they've been good at, who they've coached before, sort of a resume, if you will. Same with casters. For coaches, I want to revive. We did the pilot of the coaching workshops. I think that was a success. The only reason that we haven't launched that again is because I was running it and I got married and I've been super busy. So it is something we're bringing back. We just need to put in place the structure and so forth for it. We'd like to build out a syllabus of classes. We'd like to have the coaching community collaborate with each other to write up, syllabi for different courses. We'd like them to work together to improve their coaching skills, learn, maybe bring in some well-known coaches or people who coach semi-pro teams, whatever we can do to foster that community. We'll probably be asking the coaches themselves to help organize some of this, since, again, admin resources, etc. But those are a couple of the things that we have. Chat, thank you. Those are a couple of the things that we have in mind for the coaches. We want to formalize it, make it easier to track which coaches are working with which teams, which coaches are available for VOD reviews, have more organized coaching workshops and resources. So I know that's kind of a vague answer, but that's where our mind is. That's where we want to go. You can ask more specific questions in chat as needed. What else? Casting, similar. So we've had a couple of questions about casting. One thing I'd like to implement down the line is a match calendar so that people put their matches on a calendar for everyone else to see, and that'll make it easier for casters to say, hey, I'm available for this time to this time. There's a match here. I'd like to cast it. That's something coming down the pipe. It's going to take some development resources or a lot of Google Forms to make that work. We also are working on more resources for casters to learn, both in terms of working OBS and streaming. What else?
We'll see. For coaches, for coaches, real quick, if you're someone who wants to learn how to coach but doesn't know how, I suppose that's something we do need to work on as the admin team. Again, everything we're saying speculation. This is not something we put a lot of official plans into so far, but we would like to have resources for educating coaches. However, if you feel coach accountability is something that I personally want to start working on, because we don't, even though we do say we'll help anybody learn to play, anybody learn to coach, anybody learn to cast. We don't want to send coaches who don't know what they're talking about them to start coaching teams, because we don't want them to hurt the results of the team. But we are going to try to provide resources to help coaches learn, and then hopefully we're going to institute a system of coaching accountability so we can make sure that that none of our people we've trusted with the coach role are doing a bad job with their teams.
Yeah, and similar, but with the casters, is like I've been like taking the role as like essentially getting all these casters around and trying to get them on some trying to get them on as much as possible. With going into the casters, I definitely want to try to get more consistency. As I know, I know at least been able to provide my schedule a little bit. I know there's some people that aren't able to give consistent times, and we want to work with some more casters who are more dedicated to put in the time and effort. We kind of want to get people on a schedule. Like the EU casters have been there every time, which we have a small margin of EU casters, so that's why Sindane, Energy Being, or Professor Oddsword is his Discord name, and then Dudge. They've been their EU casters doing a wonderful job. I've taken some of them as well and worked with them on some casts off this, and they've been doing some cast off this stream as well. But we want to be able to provide others opportunities as well on both through both regions to get people experiences so people can learn. I know I've had experience. We have one of our admins that hasn't been around as much. He'll be coming in more into season 2 now that he has some time. Especially, hopefully, we can get some more broadcasts with him, and as well as more events. So like we've been doing, those midweek madness. We kind of want to going into season 2. We kind of want to have more days available, which is also when we go into casters, we're going to also be open to a few streamers as well, especially people that people can learn off of. So they'll be doing maybe like a community play or playing with some people that they can kind of teach them as they're going along. What should be happening, as well as maybe some like VOD review streams as well. So we have so many opportunities on the casting side and coaching side that we want to bring up, so we have more content. So like right now, as I said, we really only have Saturday as an official day with our Madness events taking up some times there. We want to also set up days that are set up more of a schedule, and going into season 2, I think we can have the resources for that. We had a little rough road. We didn't launch the stream until halfway through the season, which we could have had at the start. It just, it wasn't our main concern. Main concern was getting the league running. I think now that we've got at least a semi-stable structure, that we can focus on other tasks, which involve coaching and casting. And yeah, casting is my big thing that I'm working on. Is like you see me most of the time, and I've been fairly before we even started the official channel. I was casting, I think, the majority of the games that were around. With some Division 1 teams, Division 2 teams, all pretty much all across the board. And we still encourage people, even if you're not going to be on the official channel, cast games anyway, cast scrims. We are going to be reshuffling the whole caster lineup. So the more experience you get, and the more you're reaching out to get casting experience, the more likely we're going to spot you, and you'll be recognized and be get onto the official channel. So there's, I mean, there will be times, we maybe, and we also are planning to have more guests on the stream. I know one time we had Skyline. There's possibilities that we get more people along those lines, just to increase in popularity. But we still want to provide. We might even pair those people up with a new streamer to try to get that learning experience. So we also, there's a lot of things going on off court, I would say.
Ladies and
And I
gentlemen,
could touch on that, if
can
that's
we go
okay.
ahead and have a word from a very special guest star, the founder of the Overwatch University League, one of the original admins and genius behind the whole thing, Mats. Go ahead.
I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm like in the bush at the moment doing a 5-day walk track, so I have some Wi-Fi, but it's not the greatest.
Yeah, you're fine. Quality's pretty good.
Yeah? Okay, nice. Yeah, so the biggest thing and update that will happen during Season 2, maybe beginning Season 3, is basically the full launch of our website. Pim talked about it a little bit earlier, and it's basically what a big goal of it is instead of hosting all of our information on Discord and on Google Sheets, we will have a central place for all information and match details, etc., on the website. So you can find the official rules there, the weekly maps. You have your own player profiles, which you can update with your Battle.net and your Discord, and maybe even other platforms, or write your own bio, whatever. You have your team profile, so you can create your own team and jump in and get placed into divisions, which of course will have all the brackets and which will be placed in a league. So yeah, every player and every team will have their own profiles, and the same will be for coaches and casters, as has been said earlier. So if you coach one or two, three teams, it will be on your profile. People can leave you feedback, etc. Same for casting. You can highlight your channels, all your social medias. You can upload or make your schedule public, and people can actually request you to cast your games. Also, in the brackets, casters themselves can request to cast games. And when these games are planned, they will be public on a schedule, which will be probably on the homepage, and you can check out all the streams and basically everything that's happening. Yeah, it's a big, like, we're making everything from scratch. Like, we are now using challenge for all the brackets and whatever, and we're basically trying to create something that fits us better. And the same for all the profiles and all the other infrastructure. So that's a lot of work. I think we've been working hard on it for like a month now, and the base structure is done. And now we're getting started in all the databases, and we have 4 man on it. But yeah, it's going to take a while before everything is perfect and we want to push it. But it's something which will basically allow us to, yeah, make the league even bigger than now. We're not really trying to push the numbers. That's not our priority. It will not be later, but we could do it. So it's basically, it's gonna make everything easier and, yeah, better for everyone. Only it will take some time before we actually finish that.
That's when we'll be an official grown-up league.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Exactly.
sweet, but it's going to also make things a lot less manual. People have been asking, hey, can you update the brackets? Can you update the brackets? Can you do this? Can you do that?
Yeah.
All of which is stuff
Yeah,
that is our job, and we
you'll
are
be able
happy to do,
to
but it'll
report
be a
your own
lot easier
scores.
when it's
Yeah,
automatic.
you can report your own scores. You can upload your screenshots with that to confirm. The other team can confirm it too. Same for all the coaches and casters and whoever has been watching it. So everything will be a lot more easier for you guys to manage because it will all be one central place, and it's way easier for us too to oversee everything that is happening. So yeah, yeah. In the big scheme, the website is gonna improve everything a lot. It will like all the events, we will be able to host more of those small events like midweek madness, and we can easily assign people teams, and
As well as
if we have
articles
caps
too.
with signups, we can fill them up as well. So when that is ready, we can basically start going all out instead of
Yeah, and also,
doing a bit of everything.
it'll be a little bit easier for to see all the divisions because I know an issue is that you want to go see the scores of who's doing what in what division, and you have to go to each separate challenge page. Where we have a little more streamlined system where you can easily click between and get to the bracket in a cleaner fashion. It'll be a bit. It'll be nicer for everyone in general,
Yeah,
as well as
yeah. So
articles too.
basically, for the website,
Yeah.
it's still work in progress. All the yeah, well, most of the CSS, so all of the styling has been done. It's just that it's all around work still has to be
Yeah,
done.
the
Um,
functionality of
it's
it.
all getting planned at the moment. So, but yeah,
Thank you very
that
much,
was it
and we
for me.
will
I'm
have more
gonna go
news.
back to the push.
Yes, Mats is going back to his wild adventure. Thank you for joining us. Lots and lots of what's that word? Props, and thank you for everything that you've done. Enjoy your wild trek. We promise not to burn the house down while you're gone.
Thank you. See ya.
See you,
Take care.
Max.
So absolutely, the website is going to be a major overhaul. It's going to introduce all new procedures, which will really make things easier and help us explode. But it's not going to be season 2. Probably some form, new updates, new technology during season 2, but not. It won't be in its final form during season
Yeah,
2.
yeah, we want to get it in stages, so like we have like the readily available stuff. We don't want to push it on finished projects. So like um, I like to be able to see divisions easily. I think that's something that's doable. And then we'll it really depends on we still got priorities we want to set for the website, but is also it would be like a center that people can gather more information rather than the Discord, which gets a little bit cluttered with all the updates and information, as well as a little. I mean, the Reddit too is also another source, but having a official website would also be easier for us to post articles. So like as like today, or yesterday we announced the season 2 details. It would be very easy if we were able to have a website to post it on. So there was an article, and then following that, we would be able to post an article, explaining ambassadors, how that's going to work, explaining the medal system, and what the medals are for the season, as well as how the draft is going to work, and stuff like that. So it'd be a little in a more centralized location, because the Discord, yeah, as we said, does get a little bit cluttered.
Yeah, and touching on that, sorry, I'm back. Touching on that, like the website will be done earlier and will be pushed earlier. But yeah, we will only host like central information that we will post on there, and all the other features will come along the line, and probably we'll start using it in season 3.
Thank you, thank you. A couple of other things that we wanted to point out. We are considering / have already decided to allow teams to sign up with 8-player rosters. This is something we discussed during season 1, having an official bench to draw from. And it's not something that we want to force people to do. Playing on an 8-person team means that you may miss some of the matches. It may mean, if you really want to participate all the time, it may not be for you. But some teams already have sort of a bench that they draw on frequently, and we'd like to allow that to become an officially established thing to make it really easy for you to get subs who you scrim with and practice with. So you will have the option in season 2 of signing up with an 8-person roster, giving you a bench of 2 players or a flexible roster, so you won't have to report the sub every single time because they'll be on your official roster. Tone, thank you. Take care. Sub limits, we will announce, as Off the Dock said, most likely we won't be changing the specific rules for subs, maybe simplifying them a little bit. Look for details on those when we publish the full rules. I do need to point out what we've published so far is just an update on Season 2, giving people the much awaited sign update, but it's not the final rules for Season 2. We are still working on those. We will release those at an undisclosed, but soon in Blizzard terms, date in the future. What else did we have? Have we thought of a way to incentivize lower SR players to play as subs? Well, first off, we want to grow right now. We want to add, I know we don't want to grow too much. We don't want to go, huge. Hang on. But we do want to flesh out our lower SR divisions. We want to make sure that we have a healthy player base to support subs and additional teams and make sure that no matter what skill level you are, you have good opponents to scrim against and so forth. Will the winners between the second and third place matches be commemorated like teams that placed first will, or will that only be for first place teams? So, Matt's mentioned that we're going to have team profiles. That's going to be part of how we're going to track past wins so that you can, revel in your glory and stoke your ego.
Usual.
Don't we all? So essentially, this season, if your team would have been promoted to the next division, you will be commemorated. We'll give you a little trophy in your profile. We'll hold on to that information forward down the line. You'll be able to proudly say, yeah, we were one of the top 2 teams. We were one of the winners of Division X, etc. Let me see here. What else have we got? Sub rules stay close to the same. Yeah, I don't think they're going to change that much. If anything, the ability of us to actually accurately determine current season high is wonky, difficult to get. So if anything, that's going to be what changes. Other than that, I wouldn't expect too many changes. Do we need more devs? We are always looking for people who are willing to participate and help out in the community. Contact the admin team on the main Discord to discuss. I'm not in charge of that team, so I'm not going to speak on their behalf. But if you have a portfolio, if you have skills that would help us out, we'd love to hear from you. Contact League Admin on Discord. That's everything that I had. What about you, gentlemen?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't really have. I mean, unless we get like a few questions that come up in the next, we'll leave a little bit of time just to get a few more questions. If not, we'll call it a night. I think
Yeah.
we made a lot of progress here, and I think we answered a lot of questions. And hopefully, people will go back to this and look back at the things. I know. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff we want to write up. We'll try to get official rules. Um, Likely, we'll be right at signups. We'll have the official rules definitely there. That would be our minimum. Would be at this official sign up, which remember is April 8th. So, we encourage people already now to start looking for teams or replacements. But Yeah, I don't think I have anything else I can say, but I guess we'll wait for a few more questions.
Oh, one last. Okay, a couple of things here. First off, Ella OW asks, will Season 1 Division winners get a nice role on Discord? So expect overhauls to the Discord channel. We have too
Hmm.
many channels. We have too many roles. We haven't sat down and dedicated huge resources to figuring out the overhaul just yet, but we'd like to do some general cleanup. So I can't promise whether or not Season 1 Division winners will get a nice new role. I'd like to consider it, but it depends on what the final form of our Discord cleanup looks like. We'll do something for you, no doubt. Golden Ticket asks, how will
Yeah,
the mainstream channel work?
I was just about to get with that. So the mainstream channel. So right now, currently, how it works is we had this form that I sent out, and I had quite a bit of casters fill it out. But there's also a lot of casters that didn't fill out and haven't really been active. So with that, we are going to be doing a refresh with the casters. So people are going to have to re-sign up as casters. But we're also going to be sort of including some additional requirements now. Right now, lately we kind of had like a anyone can just sign up as we cast in the sign that role, but we kind of want to have them be uh, go over we like sort of like the coaching workshop. We kind of it's kind of like a class, I guess you could say, we have for them, so we can go over stuff on all aspects of play-by-play, color analysis, as well as production. So one of the things is that to be on the production side, there's some people that I've worked with myself individually to get them on the correct level and get the overlays working correctly. Like gnomes, for example, right now, that's me being bad and not adjusting this. He just has a long name actually, so the his is
You can
overlapping
I
that.
go by
But there's
TBG too if
yeah, I
that
know
makes life easier.
that would probably be used in the future. But there's a lot of things that like that we'll be incorporating. And so the way the rotation usually works is right now it's been who's ever been available because we haven't had consistency. I sort of put people in teams, but those teams have yet really to be really um, working together. There's been a few times they did. I think going into this next, if it's going to be on the official stream, and it's just still a thought that I'm thinking that you have to actually sign up as a team to be on the official stream, and then we'll actually work on those rotations. I want to get those scheduled out ahead of time so that we can have the whole season planned out already and then have backups for that. So I've already been working with special guests too to get them scheduled ahead of time for the remainder of the season so that they have their dates and so that we're not, telling people, okay, never mind, this person finally replied to us, or okay, we don't need you this week, or someone saying, hey, we can't do it. Well, at least we'll have backups then. So there's a lot of things that can happen with the mainstream, but I think that we're gonna try to uh, limit it more or make it a little bit more strict. And we have some guidelines. One of our other admins coming in, who's on the entertainment side of things, he has a lot of professional experience with that, which will be hosting some sessions uh, with help from some other casters as well. So expect more on the entertainment side uh, to be coming in and I mean, I remember Golden Ticket that you yourself were streaming a lot in the season. You had to take a break, so I definitely would be into considering like getting you on a team. But if you can find people to work with, that's the just like the six tech science. It's easier to get a team that's already ready and having practice that we can look at some previous videos than to throw them on a team that's not really doesn't have the availability.
Couple of thoughts I'd like to add to that. I'd like to see the casting community grow during season two. I'd like us to recruit more potential casters, train them up, because again, this is a place for everyone to improve their
Yep.
craft, whether that be captaining, coaching, etc. I'd like to see that grow. I want to make sure people know they can stream on their own channels. They are
Yeah,
completely allowed to do
and we
that.
will, and if we're around, we definitely will be hosting too, for that
Mhm.
reason. It just like on the official channel, we do want to get to that next level where we are kind of pushing the next step of like professionality. That's why like there'll be different like language barriers that we will be approaching when you are on an official stream, and sort of like I mean you'll see me do it like advertisement level for the league and like a branding sense that we want to promote. Get people used to that style because if you do go on an official cast, there will be times you will be having to uh, say some certain things, and there's will be things that you aren't allowed to say. So we kind of want to go on being an official team. We want to try to get you on that like professionality level. Oh, you're muted.
Hey, there we go. Thank you. Uh, we do want to shoot for that level of professional production. We're going to gradually crank up the production values on the main official stream. We don't want to discourage anybody from participating, which is why we want casters to find each other, work together. Solo casting is a nightmare. I've done it.
Yeah.
Learn the different aspects of play-by-play, color, and production. And so you can start, if you don't have a team already, meet people, practice some casts just like you would, as Pim said, for an actual Overwatch match. So I'd like us to have a larger pool in the future.
Yep. I think there's another question here. If we have an 8-person roster, will we be able to swap players from that during the matches? Uh, I'm inclined to say no. That's my thought, but the only thing I could think of is like, uh, this person's like, oh, grandma had a heart attack. So like, uh, no offense to like that, but like, so, any emergency situation where like people have had to pull in someone, and I've had times where we've had that on like a madness event where someone couldn't play midway through the last round, and we just threw in someone so the game could get played. But I mean, I would say if it was for like a second match in the series, no.
Yeah, within a series, we want to keep it consistent to this is the roster you're playing for this series. This is the roster you've got. If grandma passes away mid-series, we call a halt and treat it as if you did not have a bench to draw upon. This you don't see, and my justification for this is you can see in the Carbon series a team might, okay, well, for this series they have a sub, right? But they never swap between. You can't switch from your offensive lineup to your defensive lineup to your special teams, your kickers, stuff like that. Not the way that it works. So yeah, I don't see us having mid-series, mid-set roster swaps.
Yeah, and even that, like the whole 8-person sign up thing, um, I'm not sure. Like we haven't read up fully rules on it yet. I'm not sure what kind of restrictions we are gonna have on that. Um, if you maybe like, I know like there's some sports where you have a in home, so it would be like this. We wouldn't have this sort of issue, but like so like say your goalie got a penalty, you would have a in home person play as a they would relieve the penalty for that person. So it's there's I guess a sense like that, but a different, completely different sport. But um, we haven't really shaped out how those players are going to work. But I know like people do have players that are in their friends list that they have consistently to be subs anyway. So we'd prefer that we could have people like that on the roster already.
I think that was our last question. So yeah, just TLDR, no swapping mid-set. Does anyone else have any other questions? Did we miss anything from the chat? Do Pimp or Optodox have anything that we've neglected?
I think we're good.
Yeah, I think
Excellent.
I mean, hopefully, more people watch this. Just please encourage people to watch this if they haven't, if they have really questions, and we will be linking this, exporting it to YouTube. Also, I just want to shout out that we did reach 300 followers today, so woohoo to that on our Twitch, and we're also very close to 8,000 subscribers on Reddit. So if you haven't subscribed to the Reddit, please do, and encourage people to come to the Reddit and to the Twitch as well. But yeah, like I mean, yeah, the Reddit is really close to 80,000. I think it said 8,000 at first, but yeah, it's 80,000 subscribers. It's close to. But yeah, it's a good milestone today. I would say the season since the stream started has been quite a bit of success, and overall, I think season 1 was very good. I don't think we talked much about it. We will be having. We might release some stats, about what something. We do have some data staff now that we've been recruiting to possibly run some statistics, so we can figure out certain values. I know someone asked about any statistics about season 1. I don't really. we do have stuff like we talked about, like maps. What was the most used home map? And I think the majority of the league knows that it's Kings Row. Um, so that's one thing, I guess, one stat I can give away. Uh, that yeah, Kings Row is the most used map, but we don't have we don't have like a full list right now of stats. But someone I remember asked that earlier. We do have information that we might be releasing. Some that we're definitely using just for internal. That might be hard to to look up. Coach Ben. Coach Ben asked total number of matches played. What we do uh, while we do have the bracket posted, we also have had admins, certain ones, submit forfeits differently, so we wouldn't really know the number of forfeits that were games that were forfeits and ones that were not, which would be good to have. Which we definitely will be having in the future when we start season 2. We'll have that; those stats will be available. Um, but I think another thing I don't think we really touched on, like which Gnome just brought up, talking about YouTube and Twitch content. We will be providing more, looking to provide more YouTube content. With that, we're also looking for possible video editors. If you know someone, I know some people will. We're going to try to get more content available, uh, and we also have different aspects that we want to have available for it. But one of the things that ties into directly into season 2 is highlights. Um, Having someone that can put highlight clips available, it'd be great if we could get weekly highlights. It's likely we might get a seasonal highlight video, or like a hype video for the season afterwards.
As we wrap things up, on that note, we are planning on producing a lot more content on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. We have a whole slew of projects and ideas in mind. We're just, it's going to take us a while to spin up to that point, especially since a lot of resources are going towards the development of the website and organizing season 2, learning everything we can from season 1. But do expect a lot more Overwatch University League content to be out there in the future. As we wrap things up, I think all of us would like to thank our fellow admins for all their volunteer hours and their hard work. A special shout out to our casting team, EU team, I'm looking at you, all of our coaches, all the team captains, everybody who's participated in the league. I've been having a blast so far. I'm really glad that I found this community and that I've been able to get involved in it. I hope everybody has been having a lot of fun. I encourage you to spread the word, get other people involved in it. If they've never done competitive style Overwatch before, let them know how awesome it is and bring them into the fold. We don't want to grow too fast, but we do want to make sure that our community continues to share this experience with others. So thank you everybody who's been a part of this so far, and we're looking forward to having a fantastic season 2.
Thank you all for watching.
Yeah, thank you.